It's strange how easily a family can turn the person you love into a bargaining chip, like something they can trade, rearrange, or steal if it benefits them. I never imagined my own mother would be capable of something so twisted. But the day I overheard her telling my boyfriend that my sister was stronger and better than me, something inside me cracked. What followed wasn't just betrayal, it was a deliberate, calculated attempt to strip me of my worth. And for the longest time, I blamed myself. Until I learned the truth. And that's when everything changed. My name is Julie, and for as long as I can remember, my mother has treated my sister, Hannah, like she was handcrafted by the universe itself. If she entered a room, Mom lit up. If I entered a room, Mom pointed out that the lights needed changing, or that the carpet needed vacuuming, or that my posture was off. There was no middle ground. Hannah was the golden child, and I was the child who needed fixing. When I started dating Ethan, my boyfriend of 2 years, I felt, for the first time, like maybe someone saw me without comparing me to her. Ethan wasn't flashy or loud. He was calm, gentle, thoughtful. And when we talked about our future, I truly believed he loved me for who I was. But the comparison game didn't stop just because I was finally happy. Mom would say things like, "Ethan, don't you think Hannah would make a great lawyer's wife? She's so confident." Or, "Julie's always been a little sensitive. Hannah has more backbone." Ethan always brushed it off politely, but each time, something in my stomach tightened. It felt like I was being erased right in front of him, like Mom was trying to bargain for a better daughter on my behalf. At first, I thought maybe it was harmless. Mothers make odd comments. Maybe I was overreacting. But then Mom began inviting Ethan over, alone. One day, she told me she was planning a surprise dinner for my birthday and needed Ethan's help. But when I stopped by to drop something off, I found them sitting at the dining table, sipping tea like two old friends. My mother looked startled, but Ethan looked uncomfortable, like he had walked into something he didn't know how to exit. I didn't question it then. I didn't want to be controlling or paranoid. But my gut whispered something was wrong. And my gut was right. Because those little conversations were not random moments of bonding. They were rehearsals. And one day, I would discover exactly what she was rehearsing him for. And it would break me. It was a Thursday evening when the cracks finally showed. I had just finished a grueling day at work and was heading to Ethan's place for dinner. He sounded distracted on the phone earlier, but I chalked it up to exhaustion or stress. When I arrived, he wasn't in the living room like he usually was. Instead, I heard hushed voices coming from the kitchen. One of them was Ethan. The other was my mother. My chest tightened instantly. What was she doing here? I moved quietly toward the voices. Her tone was soft, coaxing, almost maternal, yet the words she spoke were knives. "Julie is sweet, Ethan, but Hannah is built for the life you want. She's stronger, more confident, more capable of supporting your ambitions. Don't limit yourself out of pity or obligation." My breath caught. Ethan didn't respond immediately, and that silence was worse than anything he could have said. My mother continued, lowering her voice further. "She would never say this, but Julie is fragile. She can't handle pressure. She breaks easily. A man like you needs someone who can stand beside him, not depend on him." I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from making a sound. It felt like my mother had reached inside me and ripped out every insecurity I had ever confided in her, every fear, every moment of weakness, every tear I had cried, and handed them to Ethan like evidence against me. Ethan finally spoke. "Mrs. Calloway. I don't want to talk about Julie like this." His voice wasn't angry. It was tired. My mother sighed dramatically. "I just want what's best for you. And Julie may not be it. Think about your future, Ethan. Think about what kind of woman you want raising your children." I felt the world tilt. Children? My mom wasn't just comparing me anymore. She was trying to replace me. And the worst part? Ethan didn't push back. Not really. Not enough. I stepped backward, nearly tripping over my own feet, and slipped out the front door before they could see me. That was the night something inside me shattered. And something darker began to grow. The next morning, I woke with a pounding headache and a stomach twisted so tightly it felt like it had been braided into knots. I didn't sleep at all. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying my mother's words again and again, each one sinking deeper until I could feel them under my skin. Fragile. Breaks easily. Not strong enough. Not good enough. Words I had heard as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult. Words I thought I had outgrown. Words I thought I had buried. Yet there they were, alive again, weaponized and handed to the one person I thought was safe. Ethan called me that morning. "Hey, Julie. Are you coming over tonight? I thought we could talk." Talk. The word felt poisonous. I told him I had work to finish, which was a lie. I just needed space away from him, away from her, away from the suffocating feeling that the two people who should have cared about me were quietly reshaping my life behind my back. All day at work, I felt like I was moving through fog. Emails blurred. Conversations faded. My coworkers noticed, but I brushed it off. The truth was too humiliating. Too raw. Around noon, I received a text from Hannah. "Hannah, Mom said you're stressed. Everything okay?" Me, "Yeah. Busy." "Hannah, you sure?" Me, "I'm fine." She didn't reply after that. And I didn't expect her to. Hannah lived in her own orbit, glowing, polished, adored. She never had to wonder whether she was enough. She never had to fight for love, or validation, or even basic respect. Those things were handed to her effortlessly. By evening, I couldn't hold everything in anymore. I drove to the park near Ethan's apartment, the same park where we'd shared our first kiss, the same place he told me he could imagine a future with me. Ironically, that's where I planned to end things. Not because I stopped loving him, but because I couldn't continue loving someone who stood silently while I was dismantled piece by piece. But as I sat in my car, staring at the dimly lit trees, something unexpected happened. Ethan's car pulled up right beside mine. He stepped out, his hair messy, his shirt wrinkled, his expression strained. Not angry. Not confused. Just defeated. He knocked softly on my window. "Julie, please. Can we talk?" Reluctantly, I unlocked the door. Ethan slid into the passenger seat and exhaled deeply, staring ahead instead of at me. "I know you heard us," he said quietly. The words hit like a slap. I swallowed hard. I wasn't spying. I didn't mean to overhear. I just... He shook his head. "No. I'm glad you know. Because last night was the final straw for me too." My pulse kicked. "For him too?" He rubbed his forehead, shame seeping through his voice. "Your mom has been saying things like that for months." I tried ignoring it at first. I thought she just favored Hannah a little too much. But recently... He paused, searching for the right words. "It's become manipulative. She's been calling me. Texting me. Inviting me over to discuss your future." My stomach flipped. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to hurt you," he said. "And because I didn't know how to explain it without causing a rift between you and your family." But Julie, last night was different. She wasn't just comparing you two. She was trying to convince me to leave you. The words cracked through the car like lightning. And I didn't know what to say, Ethan admitted. Not because I agreed. But because I was stunned. "I want a future with you, Julie. But your mother, she's trying to orchestrate it. Bend it. Control it." Tears welled in my eyes, not because of Ethan, but because hearing it out loud made everything real. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "No," he said firmly. "You didn't do this." She did. But guilt crawled over me anyway, heavy and relentless. "I should have stopped her sooner," Ethan continued. "I should have told her to back off months ago. I just didn't want to stir the pot." "That's the problem," I said quietly. "She's counting on everyone to keep the peace while she sets the fire." He stared at me then, really stared. And what I saw in his expression wasn't pity. It was fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of my mother. Fear of what she was capable of. That was the moment I knew things were far worse than I thought. And far from over. For several days, Ethan and I decided to keep our distance, not from each other, but from my mother. I needed time to think. To breathe. To understand the storm I was suddenly in. Ethan respected that. But my mother didn't. She called. She texted. She even showed up at my apartment once, pretending she was in the neighborhood, though she lived 20 minutes away. I didn't answer the door. By the 5th day, I began to feel like prey. Like I was being hunted by my own family. Every ding of my phone made my shoulders tense. Every knock made my heart thud. I couldn't shake the fear that she might turn up at my office next. Then something even stranger happened. Hannah reached out again. Hannah, Julie, Mom's been acting weird. Did something happen between you guys? Me, nothing I want to get into. Hannah, she's been asking me weird questions about Ethan. Me, like what? Hannah, like whether I'd ever date someone serious like him. I froze. My pulse spiked. So it wasn't just Ethan she was trying to manipulate. She was testing the waters with Hannah too. Me, and what did you say? After a long pause, Hannah replied. Hannah, I told her to stop asking. It was creepy. Creepy wasn't the word I'd use. Terrifying was closer. That evening, Hannah called me. Actually called, not texted. Her voice was low, like she didn't want someone overhearing. Julie. Mom is planning something. I don't know what. But it's not normal. What do you mean? She asked me if I'd be open to having dinner with Ethan. Alone. My stomach lurched violently. Did you say yes? Of course not. Hannah snapped. Jesus, Julie. I'm not trying to steal your boyfriend. I told her no and asked her what she was even thinking. She said she was just exploring possibilities. What does that even mean? It means she's out of her mind, I thought. That's what it meant. But Hannah wasn't finished. She kept saying things like, you two would be perfect together. And when I told her she was acting insane, she said I was being ungrateful. Ungrateful. That was Mom's favorite word. Julie, Hannah murmured, I think Mom is trying to push Ethan into leaving you. My throat tightened. I know. Hannah inhaled sharply. You know? Yeah, I whispered. Because she already tried. Silence. Then, softly. What exactly did she say? And so I told her. Everything. The conversation I overheard. The things Mom said. The pressure she put on Ethan. The manipulation. The accusations that I was weak, fragile, not enough. Every cruel word. Hannah didn't interrupt. She didn't brush it off or downplay it or excuse it like she used to when Mom crossed lines. She just listened. And when I finished, her voice trembled. Julie. I didn't know she hated you that much. She doesn't hate me, I said bitterly. She just prefers you. No, Hannah said. This isn't favoritism. This is obsession. That word sent a chill down my spine. Obsession. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. My mother wasn't just trying to elevate Hannah. She was trying to sculpt our lives. Control who we dated. Who we loved. Who we married. It wasn't enough for her to have a favorite child, she wanted to design the world around her favorite child. At any cost. Julie, Hannah whispered, we need to talk to Ethan together. Together? Yes. Because whatever Mom is planning, we need to stop her before she gets worse. Worse. The word echoed in my mind. But at that point, I hadn't seen the worst yet. Not even close. Because something was coming. Something my mother had already set in motion. And it would change everything. 2 days later, Hannah and I drove together to Ethan's apartment. The air was tense, heavy with things unsaid. I could feel her glancing at me every few minutes, as if she was bracing herself for something but didn't know how to articulate it. Ethan opened the door almost immediately. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept any more than I had. His eyes flicked between us, wary but hopeful. What's going on? He asked. We need to talk, Hannah said, stepping inside. I followed her in, my heart thudding. Ethan closed the door behind us, and for a long moment, none of us spoke. The silence was thick and unnatural, like the air before a storm. Finally, Hannah broke it. Mom's escalating. Ethan stiffened. How? She tried to get me to meet you alone, Hannah said. Told me I'd be better for your future. She's not just interfering. She's trying to arrange something. Ethan swore under his breath. I knew she was pushing, but I didn't know it was this far. Oh, it's far, Hannah muttered. She's acting like she gets to decide which daughter you end up with. I forced a bitter smile. She's been deciding things my whole life. Ethan turned to me then, his expression pained. Julie. I'm so sorry. I should have shut this down harder. It wasn't your job to stop her, I said quietly. It was mine. And I didn't see it because I didn't want to. Hannah exhaled, pacing. We need a plan. She's not going to stop on her own. And the longer we wait, the more unhinged she gets. But Ethan shook his head. No. We need boundaries. Strict boundaries. Hannah raised a brow. You think boundaries will work on her? She doesn't hear no, she hears try again differently. Ethan looked troubled but determined. Then we say it clearly. All three of us. Together. Hannah nodded slowly. Fine. But don't expect her to take it well. I stared at them both, an ache spreading through my chest. We were planning an intervention. For my mother. And deep down, I knew what Hannah hadn't admitted out loud. Interventions only work on people willing to change. My mother wasn't. And she would prove that sooner than any of us expected. The following Sunday, we invited my mother to dinner at my apartment. She arrived exactly on time, perfectly dressed, smiling sweetly as if nothing in the world was wrong. Julie, darling, she said, kissing my cheek. And Ethan. Oh, how wonderful to see you both. Then she saw Hannah. Her smile faltered just a fraction. I didn't realize you'd be joining us, sweetheart. Hannah crossed her arms. Yeah. Thought it was time. Mom blinked, then recovered. Well. Let's eat, shall we? I had prepared nothing elaborate, just pasta and salad, but my hands shook as I set the plates down. Ethan sat beside me. Hannah sat across. My mother sat at the head of the table like a queen presiding over her court. When everyone had taken a few bites, Ethan cleared his throat. Mrs. Calloway, we need to talk about something. Her fork paused mid-air. Oh. Hannah didn't wait. Mom, you've been crossing lines. Big ones. My mother's expression softened with practiced innocence. I'm not sure what you mean. Yes, you do, Hannah snapped. Trying to push Ethan toward me? Saying Julie isn't strong enough? Asking me to meet him alone? What is wrong with you? My mother's face hardened, the mask slipping. I was simply looking out for your futures. Both of you. No, I said quietly. You were trying to control them. She turned to me sharply. Julie, don't be dramatic. You're sensitive, sweetheart. You always twist things. There it was. The old script. But this time, I didn't shrink. Mom, I said, voice steady, I heard what you told Ethan. You said Hannah was better than me. That I wasn't strong enough to be by his side. She didn't deny it. Instead, she smiled thinly. Well, someone had to say it. Ethan slammed his hand on the table, startling everyone. No. No one had to say that. And you don't get to dictate my relationship. My mother's eyes widened, offended, not apologetic. But Hannah leaned forward, her tone icy. You crossed the line. And we're done pretending you didn't. My mother's jaw clenched. And then she said the sentence that changed everything. If Ethan wants the better daughter, he should choose her. She pointed at Hannah. Not me. Not the daughter she raised. But the daughter she sculpted. The daughter she preferred. And for the first time in my life, I saw who my mother truly was. For a moment, no one breathed. My mother's words hung in the air like smoke, thick and poisonous. I felt them settle into the space between my ribs, sharp and familiar, the same sting I had carried since childhood. But this time, something inside me didn't bend. It broke cleanly, like glass finally reaching its limit. Hannah was the first to recover. "Mom," she said, voice trembling with anger, "I'm not your accessory. You don't get to shove me at someone like I'm a prize to win." But my mother didn't even look at her. Instead, she kept her eyes locked on Ethan. "Well," she asked coolly. "Don't you agree? She's a better fit. Stronger. Prettier. More capable." Ethan stared at her like she'd grown a second head. "No," he said. "I chose Julie. I love Julie. And nothing you do will change that." My mother's expression twisted. "Love isn't enough. Stability is. Strength is. And you think Julie doesn't have that?" Ethan fired back. "After everything you've put her through? She's still here, trying to build a family with you. That's strength." For the first time, my mother faltered, just a flicker of uncertainty. But I didn't need her doubt. I finally found my voice. "Mom," I said softly, "I'm done letting you decide who I am. Or who I'm worth." She turned to me sharply. "Don't you dare speak to me like..." "No," I said, standing. "Don't you dare speak about me like I'm disposable." And in that moment, I wasn't fragile. I wasn't weak. I was done. My mother rose slowly from the table, her chair scraping the floor like a warning. "You're making a mistake," she said. "All of you. You're choosing emotion over logic. You'll regret this." Hannah laughed bitterly. "What we regret is letting you control us for this long." My mother ignored her and stepped toward me. "You're throwing away your future by clinging to something unstable. I'm trying to protect you." "No," I said, stepping back. "You're trying to control me." Her jaw tightened. "I'm your mother. And I'm an adult," I replied. "One who deserves a relationship without your interference." The room fell silent again. Then, in a final desperate attempt, she looked at Ethan. "You're young. You have potential. Don't chain yourself to someone who will only drag you down." Ethan didn't hesitate. "I'm not chained," he said calmly. "I'm choosing her. And if you can't respect that, then you don't belong in our future." My mother flinched as if he'd struck her. But the truth was finally out. Exposed. Unavoidable. For the first time, she realized she had lost control. She grabbed her purse, her movements rigid. "You're all ungrateful. Blind. I hope you understand what you're throwing away." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. When the echoes faded, Hannah let out a shaky breath. "Well, that went worse than expected." Ethan took my hand. "Julie. I'm not going anywhere." And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. Not because he said it. But because I finally understood my own worth. In the days that followed, my mother tried calling, texting, even showing up unannounced, but this time, I didn't bend. I didn't apologize. I didn't shrink. I set boundaries and kept them. Ethan supported me. Hannah did too. And slowly, painfully, my world began to feel like mine again, not something scripted by someone else. If there's one thing this taught me, it's that strength doesn't come from being the favored child. It comes from choosing yourself, even when it terrifies you. And finally, I chose me.